I still remember his face, his eyes. They were hollow, but something wild and dangerous flickered inside them. He came to our village one night, soaked to the bone, barefoot, and clutching a torn photograph to his chest. It was the face of a woman, beautiful, with wide, sad eyes. His wife. We all thought he was mad at first. He spoke in whispers, like he feared something was always listening, lurking just beyond the trees. His voice was thin and raspy, and his clothes were torn and dirty. He looked like he hadn't eaten or slept in days. But his story, it crawled under my skin and settled there, like a sickness. He said his name was Nnamdi, and he was from a village far away. His wife, Ezinne, had disappeared one night years ago, just gone. The village elders said she had been taken by spirits, but Nnamdi didn't believe them. He searched everywhere, but she had vanished without a trace. Until one night he heard a whisper in the marketplace. A man in a nearby city had seen her working in a brothel, controlled by a gang of ruthless men. He travelled there, praying he was wrong, but when he found the brothel, he saw her. She was there, standing behind iron bars, her eyes dull and empty. Nnamdi said he called out to her, and for a moment her face came alive. But before she could reach him, one of the gangsters, a tall, scar-faced man, grabbed her by the arm and dragged her away. Nnamdi begged to see her, to speak to her, but the men laughed in his face. They beat him until he was barely conscious and tossed him into the gutter. When he woke, his wife was gone. The brothel was gone. Only the scarred man's laughter echoed in his ears. Driven by rage and sorrow, Nnamdi followed them, travelling from one city to the next, begging, stealing, doing whatever he had to do. He became a shadow, a man without a home, moving in the darkness, hunting these men, desperate to free Ezinne. But as he told us his story, there was something else in his eyes. A darkness that didn't seem human. He said the scarred man was no ordinary gangster. He was something worse, something ancient and evil. Every time Nnamdi got close to finding his wife, the scarred man would appear, taunting him, slipping through his fingers. No matter where he went, he could never escape that scarred face. One night, after months of searching, Nnamdi tracked the scarred man to a broken-down hut deep in the forest. The air was thick with the smell of decay, and strange markings covered the walls. Nnamdi stepped inside, and there, lying on a mat, was Ezinne. But she didn't move. Her skin was pale, her eyes glazed. She looked wrong, like her soul had been drained, leaving only an empty shell. He reached out to touch her, but the scarred man appeared behind him, grinning, his eyes cold and unfeeling. He whispered into Nnamdi's ear, "She's mine now. She belongs to the night." Nnamdi tried to fight him, but his limbs felt heavy, like they were weighed down by invisible chains. His vision blurred, and a deep, unnatural fear settled over him. The scarred man laughed, his voice echoing, filling the room like a curse. When Nnamdi woke up, he was alone, back in the forest, the hut gone as if it had never been there. But he knew, somehow he knew, that Ezinne was trapped, her spirit bound to that scarred man forever. As he finished his story, Nnamdi looked up at me with haunted eyes, and for the first time I saw the truth. He was a dead man, walking, cursed and broken, doomed to wander until he, too, faded into nothing. He left the village that night, disappearing into the shadows. But sometimes, on quiet nights, when the wind is still, I hear whispers, faint and desperate, as if a man is calling out, still searching for the woman he'll never find. Some say the scarred man was a demon, a creature of darkness who preys on lost souls. Others say he was a spirit, cursed to steal the souls of the living, but all I know is that Nnamdi's story is not just a story. It's a warning of the things that walk among us, hiding in plain sight, waiting to claim those who wander too far into the night. Get notified of new videos by subscribe to our channel and be a part of the journey. Hit the subscribe button to be the first to know about new videos.